Keir Starmer is under increasing pressure to recognise a Palestinian state, with more than 120 MPs signing a cross-party letter demanding that he take the step. I think we are expecting that letter later this afternoon, maybe around 5 o'clock. Now, late last night, Number 10 released a statement on Gaza, calling the situation unspeakable and indefensible, but a growing number of Labour backbenchers fear it is not enough. There were reports of some of Starmer's own cabinet colleagues who also believe he needs to follow the lead of the French President Macron, who announced last night that France would officially recognise Palestinian statehood. Well, let's now speak with George Parker, political editor of the Financial Times. Hello, George.
Hi, Ayesha.
So just give us an update on where the things are in the Labour Party, particularly with the cabinet, George.
Well, I think the move by President Macron last night to announce that France would recognise Palestinian statehood in September has really forced the pace on this debate. It's been going on and intensifying over the last few months, for sure. Growing pressure in the Labour Party for Keir Starmer to do something similar, and growing pressure, as you say, in the cabinet. And I was speaking to senior Labour figures last night after the Macron announcement was made, basically saying they felt now that the direction of travel was set, that Keir Starmer was coming under growing pressure from within the cabinet and from ministers outside the cabinet. I'm told by Labour figures that there's been incoming, as they say, in Number 10 today from people saying, look, we've got to get on with this. And also a view amongst those people who support an early recognition by Britain of Palestinian statehood that David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, is on their side. And the real blockage here is Keir Starmer and the Number 10 machine itself.
And just in terms of those other senior cabinet figures, am I right in believing that Shabana Mahmood is somebody who is keen on this? And obviously we know that Wes Streeting has spoken out about this. Hilary Benn, are they the names? Are there any other names that you've picked up?
Those are the names that people say within the cabinet. Hilary Benn, the Northern Ireland secretary, but also it's important to say that people outside, in senior Labour circles outside the government, people like Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, Anna Sarwar, the Scottish leader in Labour leader in Scotland, all are basically pushing Keir Starmer as well on this. And of course, that doesn't include, of course, the scores of Labour MPs who see these horrific pictures coming out.
And why do you think?
What action?
What are the reasons why Number 10 would be pushing back against this? Is it on an ideological ground, or is it because they don't want to disrupt their diplomatic relationship with Israel and President Netanyahu at this point?
Or indeed their relationship with President Trump,
right,
who of course arrives in Scotland later today. And the Americans have been putting pressure on their allies not to formally recognise Palestinian statehood at this moment. The view in Number 10, and this is the message passed on to cabinet members who are pushing for faster recognition of Palestine, is that this has got to be done as part of a big international effort and as part of a broader process, that unless recognising Palestinian statehood is accompanied by a ceasefire and by an agreement for talks between the Palestinians and the Israelis, bringing in some of the other regional powers, unless it's part of a broader process, in the end, it's only a symbolic gesture. Nevertheless, there are some people, many people, I'd say, in Labour circles who just think now, if you don't recognise Palestine now as a state, when are you going to do it? Or in the words of that Foreign Affairs Committee, recognise Palestine while there's still a state to recognise.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because the tension is this, George, as you see, it's largely symbolic, because it's not like the declaration of Britain recognising Palestine would make that much of a difference, because ultimately this comes down to whether Netanyahu and his government and Hamas are prepared to do a deal, and the only really powerful third party broker is America. So there is absolute truth in that. But in politics, symbols and signals are also important. So how do you think they strike the right balance?
Well, I think this is the calculation they're trying to make in Downing Street, that when you do it, when can you have it is a symbolic gesture, but when do you get the maximum impact? And President Macron is talking about making this declaration on the French side in September, around the time of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. And it was quite interesting in the social media statement put out by Keir Starmer yesterday. He also mentioned the sort of that this is an issue which is still under discussion. So I think, there is a sort of sign that maybe they don't feel the time is right, but the time could be coming soon. And I think Keir Starmer's going to have his hand forced. I think that's just, even if it's symbolic, and you're absolutely right that there is a lot of symbolism, and symbolism matters in politics. I think there's such a mood of absolute horror and despair across the Labour Party at the moment. They just feel they need to do something. And we know that Britain's voice is not as loud, of course, in Israel and Gaza as the American voice, but just feel that they have to do something to show how alarmed they are by what's going on.
And final question, Mark makes a good point, saying, look, recognising a Palestinian state is the relatively easy bit, but what does that actually mean? Like, what set of borders, and that is an important question, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, the recognising the Palestinian state is, as you say, the easy part of this. There's a whole question about the peace process between Hamas and Israel, about the borders, where the capital would be, regional security guarantees. You can see from Number 10's point of view that it has to be part of a much broader process. The problem is people are frustrated because there's no sign at all that a broader process is coming into view, and that's why people are becoming so frustrated and are calling for Starmer to do the kind of thing that President Macron announced last night.
Just very quickly, what's Germany said about recognising a Palestinian? What are our kind of other sort of people that we would align ourselves with?
Well, there is this call between Starmer and Macron and the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, scheduled for later on today. The Germans have been holding back, so they're in a similar situation at the moment, I think, to the UK. But it's worth pointing out that I think last time I looked, well over 140 countries have recognized Palestinian statehood, including Spain, I think, quite recently. So, yeah, I mean, Macron is ahead of other big European powers. But you can see the direction of travel.
Well, look, George, thank you so much for your time. Good to catch up with you. That's George Parker, who is political editor at the Financial Times.